stop everything right now because Brian Entin has just dropped a bombshell that is shaking the entire Nancy Guthrie investigation to its core. On June 8, 2026, in Tucson, Arizona, the Pima County Sheriff's Department finally went public with a name, but not the one the whole world has been desperately waiting for since February 1st. Instead, they named a woman wanted for a brutal kidnapping and aggravated assault with a deadly weapon just 7 miles from the Catalina foothills home where Nancy Guthrie was violently taken. Her name is Cora Michelle Smith, 40 years old, and the details surrounding her case are so chilling, so close, and so suspicious that even Brian Entin had to stop and say, "This changes everything." A woman allegedly held against her will, a victim who later died from her injuries, a suspect with a dark criminal past that includes previous kidnapping charges. All of this unfolding in the exact same neighborhood that has been haunted by terror since the night Nancy vanished from her own porch. But here's what's really making everyone panic. Brian Entin just went deep into this case and exposed connections that law enforcement has been quick to deny. The questions he's raising now are so explosive that the whole true crime community is losing their minds. What if this isn't a coincidence at all? What if this neighborhood is hiding something much darker than anyone imagined? Stick with me, because what Brian Entin uncovered next is absolutely shocking. For months, the disappearance of 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie has gripped the entire nation in a nightmare that refuses to end. On February 1st, 2026, in the quiet Catalina foothills neighborhood of Tucson, Arizona, this beloved mother of NBC anchor Savannah Guthrie was ripped away from her own front porch in a horrifying abduction caught on chilling doorbell camera footage. A mass figure, a pool of blood, and then nothing. Her pacemaker signal went dark at 2:28 a.m. And since that terrifying night, Nancy has remained missing, leaving her family shattered and the public demanding answers. Enter Brian Entin, the fearless investigative reporter who has been boots on the ground covering this case like no one else. Day after day, Entin has exposed shocking delays, interagency wars, and questions that local authorities desperately want to keep buried. From the controversial 11-week DNA backlog to the explosive revelation that the FBI was allegedly kept out of the investigation during the critical first 4 days, Brian has become the voice of truth in a case drowning in confusion and frustration. But the Catalina foothills neighborhood itself has slowly turned into something unrecognizable. What was once a peaceful upscale community has transformed into a pressure cooker of fear, suspicion, and hidden dangers. Neighbors whisper about strange activity, strange vehicles, people who don't belong. And now, this latest nightmare has everyone wondering if Nancy's abduction wasn't just a random nightmare, but part of something much more sinister brewing in the shadows of Tucson. Cora Michelle Smith is no stranger to the justice system. This 40-year-old woman already carries a troubling criminal history, including a previous kidnapping charge from 2020 that was later dismissed, along with convictions for residential robbery. With her distinctive tattoos and street-smart background, she represents the kind of repeat offender that makes law-abiding citizens lose sleep at night. The timing couldn't be more devastating. Just when the public was losing hope in Nancy's case, this new violent incident explodes just 7 miles away. A woman allegedly held captive in a residence. A victim fighting for her life, only to tragically pass days later. And a suspect who was still roaming free in the same dangerous zone where Nancy was taken. Brian Entin saw the Bolo alert and immediately knew this wasn't something to ignore. While officials rushed to call it a separate case, Entin is asking the questions that matter most. Why is a specific corridor producing so much violence? What is really happening in the shadows of Catalina foothills? And could this new arrest finally crack open doors that have remained sealed for far too long? The stage is set. The tension is unbearable. And what comes next may change this entire investigation forever. And then it happened. The moment that sent shockwaves through the entire true crime world. On May 29th, just 4 months after Nancy Guthrie was violently dragged from her porch, a nightmare unfolded at a residence near the intersection of River Road and La Cholla Boulevard, a mere 6.8 miles from Nancy's home. A 57-year-old woman named Rustin Leadad walked into a house linked to Cora Michelle Smith. What started as a visit quickly turned into pure horror. According to investigators, Dodd was savagely assaulted inside that home. But the real terror came next. She was allegedly held against her will, prevented from leaving, trapped in a living nightmare while Smith allegedly used deadly force. When Dodd finally escaped, she didn't rush to a hospital. She went to a friend's house instead, hiding her injuries for days. Then, on June 1st, her body gave up. She became unresponsive and died from the brutal trauma she suffered. A woman was dead. Another kidnapping had taken place in the shadow of Nancy Guthrie's unsolved abduction. The Pima County Sheriff's Department waited before going public. Finally, on June 8th, they issued a bolo for Cora Michelle Smith. 40 years old, 5 feet 6 inches, blonde hair, blue eyes, and covered in tattoos, including love, life, family, on her leg. The same woman who once beat a kidnapping charge was now wanted for another one, right in Nancy's backyard. Law enforcement immediately tried to shut down the obvious question. They released a statement saying, "There is no indication these two cases are connected." But that preemptive denial only made things worse. Because when authorities rush to say something isn't linked before anyone even asks, that's exactly when people start digging deeper. Brian Entin refused to let it go. He looked at the geography. He studied Smith's violent criminal history. He mapped the timeline. And what he exposed next left viewers speechless. This wasn't just another random crime in Tucson. This was happening in the exact same high-risk corridor that has seen repeated violence throughout 2026. A neighborhood where mass intruders can operate, where women can be held captive, and where victims can die without immediate alarm bells ringing loud enough. The first major twist came when Entin revealed the behavioral pattern. Unlike the professional-level disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, where the perpetrator vanished like a ghost, Cora Michelle Smith was caught locally on June 15th, still in Tucson, just 16 days after the deadly incident. She wasn't fleeing across borders. She wasn't hiding in another state. She was right there in the same danger zone. But here's where it gets even darker. While this second kidnapping was unfolding, the neighborhood around Nancy's house had turned into absolute chaos. 3 true crime YouTubers, Alexander Zabel Jr. Criminal Network, Troy Lewis Bradshaw, and Damon Todd Enderly, were arrested right outside Nancy's home after months of complaints about live streaming traffic jams and turning a grieving neighborhood into a circus. Zabel was even arrested a second time while live streaming his own takedown, facing felony resisting arrest charges. Brian Entin dropped another bombshell. He publicly questioned the legality of these arrests, suggesting serious First Amendment concerns. Even while criticizing the streamer's behavior, he asked, "Is the sheriff's department trying to control the narrative around Nancy's case by cracking down on public property?" The tension exploded. Now imagine this: a dead victim from a nearby kidnapping, a suspect with a history of holding women captive, YouTubers being dragged away in handcuffs, the FBI Director Kash Patel publicly clashing with the local sheriff, claiming the FBI was frozen out during the golden hours of the investigation. All of this happening at once. Brian Entin looked at it all and delivered a line that broke the internet. This neighborhood is producing violent crimes at an alarming rate. The question isn't just who took Nancy, it's what kind of environment allowed it to happen undetected. But the biggest twist was still coming. As the medical examiner continues to investigate Rustin Lee Dodd's death, Cora Michelle Smith's charges could escalate from kidnapping and assault to full-blown murder. If that happens, a desperate woman facing life in prison might suddenly decide to talk. And if she knows anything about the criminal ecosystem operating in Catalina Foothills, the networks, the players, the secrets hidden in plain sight, she could hold a key that blows this entire case apart. The conflict is no longer just about finding Nancy. It's about whether this neighborhood has been hiding a monster all along and whether Cora Michelle Smith is about to expose it. The situation in Tucson didn't just escalate. It detonated like a bomb. As news of Cora Michelle Smith's arrest on June 15 spread like wildfire, the entire true crime community went into absolute meltdown. Brian Entin didn't hold back. In a powerful update that has now been viewed millions of times, he laid out the terrifying reality. This wasn't an isolated incident in some distant part of the city. This was happening in the same deadly corridor where Nancy Guthrie was snatched in broad daylight from her own home. Social media exploded overnight. Twitter threads with maps showing the 7-mile radius between the two crime scenes went viral. How is this a coincidence? Became the top trending question. Facebook groups dedicated to Nancy's case were flooded with panic theories. Some cried that a serial predator was loose in Catalina foothills. Others demanded immediate federal takeover of the entire investigation. But the most shocking reveal came when Brian Entin dropped the devastating truth about the criminal ecosystem operating right under everyone's noses. According to his reporting and insider sources close to the case, the area around River Road and La Cholla has been a known hotspot for years. Quiet on the surface, but boiling with repeat offenders, underground networks, and people who handle their own problems without calling the police. In this environment, victims sometimes avoid hospitals. Witnesses stay silent, and dangerous individuals like Coral Michelle Smith can operate with terrifying freedom. Entin revealed leaked details showing Smith had been moving through the zone for weeks after the deadly incident, staying dangerously close instead of fleeing. This behavior stands in stark contrast to the ghost-like disappearance of Nancy's abductor, the masked figure who struck once and vanished without a trace. Then came the gut-wrenching twist that changed everything. Brian Entin pointed out that if Coral Michelle Smith's charges are upgraded to murder as the coroner's report finalizes, she will be facing life behind bars. A woman in that position, with nothing left to lose, often becomes the most dangerous witness imaginable. She knows the streets. She knows the players. She knows the secrets of the Catalina foothills underworld. What if she has seen something? What if she knows someone connected to Nancy's abduction? What if one desperate conversation in an interrogation room finally breaks this case wide open after 5 agonizing months? The FBI is watching. The sheriff's department is on edge. And somewhere out there, the person who took Nancy Guthrie is realizing that the walls are closing in faster than ever before. This is no longer just a missing person case. This is a full-blown war for the truth, and the next revelation could come at any moment. The moment Brian Entin's report hit the internet, the entire world lost its mind. Social media platforms exploded in real time. On X, formerly Twitter, the hashtag Nancy Guthrie Neighborhood exploded with over 250,000 posts in just 48 hours. One viral thread showing the 7-mile radius map between Nancy's home and Coral Smith's crime scene received millions of views, with people screaming, "This cannot be a coincidence." Others posted side-by-side photos of the quiet suburban streets now stained with violence, asking the chilling question, how many more victims will it take? True crime Facebook groups that have been following Nancy's case for months fractured into bitter wars. One side passionately argued that Smith's arrest proves the neighborhood is infested with dangerous criminals who enabled Nancy's abduction. The other side accused people of jumping to conclusions and defended law enforcement's separate case statement. Heated debates turned into personal attacks, with some members leaving groups in angry rants. Celebrity reactions poured in fast. Several high-profile true crime influencers and podcasters reposted Brian Entin's update with their own shock commentary. "This is terrifying," one popular host wrote. "A second kidnapping and a death so close to Nancy? The public deserves transparency now." Savannah Guthrie's emotional pleas for information about her mother were recirculated with fresh urgency, adding heartbreaking layers to the online firestorm. News outlets across the country jumped on the story. Major networks ran segments highlighting the FBI Director Kash Patel's ongoing feud with Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos. Headlines screamed variations of "New Kidnapping Rocks Nancy Guthrie Case" and "Is Tucson's Catalina foothills hiding dark secrets?" The reactions weren't just emotional. They were furious. Locals in the neighborhood started speaking out anonymously, describing months of fear, strange activity, and a growing feeling that their once peaceful community had been abandoned. One leaked voice note from a resident went viral. "We're scared to walk our own streets." Nancy was just the beginning. Even skeptics who initially dismissed any connection began questioning the official narrative after Brian Entin highlighted the pattern of violence, the YouTuber's arrest, and the potential for Smith to cooperate if facing murder charges. The public is now divided, angry, and obsessed. Some demand immediate arrests. Others fear a cover-up. But everyone agrees on one terrifying truth. Something is deeply wrong in Catalina foothills. And the pressure on law enforcement has never been higher. But just when you thought this nightmare couldn't get any darker, Brian Entin dropped the final bombshell that left everyone speechless. According to his latest reporting and sources deep inside the investigation, Cora Michelle Smith is not staying silent. In the days following her arrest, as the threat of murder charges hangs over her head like a death sentence, Smith has reportedly begun whispering to investigators. Small details, tiny threads, names, patterns, whispers about the criminal underbelly that thrives in the shadows of Catalina foothills. And here's the twist that changes everything. What if Cora Smith doesn't just know about street-level crime, but has indirect knowledge of the kind of people who could pull off a high-profile abduction like Nancy's? What if the same networks that allowed her to operate with such boldness also protected, or even enabled, the monster who took Nancy Guthrie? Brian Entin didn't accuse anyone outright. Instead, he painted a terrifying picture, a neighborhood where violence is normalized, where fear silences witnesses, and where $1 million reward still isn't enough to make someone talk. He revealed that the density of repeat offenders in this small zone creates the perfect environment for a predator to strike and disappear. Exactly what happened on February 1st. The final shocking revelation? As the medical examiner prepares to rule on Rustin Lee Dodd's death, the pressure on Smith is reaching a breaking point. One decision from her could either crack this case wide open or bury the truth even deeper. And somewhere out there, the masked abductor who still walks free is watching every move, knowing that the walls of this investigation are closing in faster than ever. This case is no longer frozen in time. It is exploding in real time, with DNA at Quantico, Google data pouring in Mexico tips, FBI sheriff warfare, arrested YouTubers, and now a desperate suspect who might hold a master key. The truth is closer than it's ever been, but so is the danger. Nancy Guthrie's fate remains unknown. Her family continues to live in agony. And the people of Tucson are left wondering one terrifying question. How many more secrets is this neighborhood hiding? This story is far from over. In fact, the most explosive chapter might be just beginning. Stay locked in, because the next update could finally bring justice, or expose a scandal that will shake Arizona to its core. Now listen up, because this is where you come in. If this story has you angry, heartbroken, shocked, or desperate for justice, then do something about it right now. Smash that like button as hard as you can. It helps push this video to more people who need to see the truth. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell, so you never miss a single update in this explosive case. We are digging deeper than anyone else, bringing you the raw facts, the hidden connections, and Brian Entin's most powerful reporting. Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. I'm reading every single one. Do you believe Cora Michelle Smith knows something about Nancy's disappearance? Could her potential cooperation finally solve this case? Or do you think law enforcement is still hiding the full truth? Team, this changes everything. Or team, still a coincidence? Let your voice be heard. Share this video with everyone you know, your family, your friends, your groups. The more people watching and talking, the more pressure we put on the authorities to solve this once and for all. Nancy Guthrie has been missing for over 5 months. Her family is still living in unimaginable pain. A killer is still walking free. And right now, this neighborhood is hiding secrets that could finally bring justice. We're not going anywhere. In the next video, we'll dive even deeper into what Cora Smith might reveal, the latest on the FBI Sheriff War, and the terrifying new developments that could break this case open any day. Thank you for standing with us in the fight for truth. Stay strong, stay vigilant, and remember, together we are louder than the silence they want. I'll see you in the next one, because this nightmare is far from over.